Hey, it's Dr. Toby here. In this video, I want to show you the 5 biggest mistakes that golfers make that cause them to have hip pain and ruin their golf swing. So let's jump right into this video. First thing I want to demonstrate is a couple of exercises that address some of the root issues for why golfers actually have hip pain, which cause them to have limited capacity when it comes to their swinging and their power. So the first exercise I'm going to show you is what's called a lateral mobilization. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, one of the biggest reasons why golfers have pain in their hip and it ruins their golf swing is because they think that pain is negative. And the challenge is, although nobody wants to have pain and people don't have to have pain when they're playing golf, pain is not negative, pain is actually informative. And so what happens is people feel some of the tight pinching sensations in their hip, or sometimes they even feel in that rear area, the pain and the discomfort. Well, what that pain is actually supposed to be doing is supposed to be communicating information to you. It's supposed to be informing you that there's a weakness, there's a limitation that you actually need to address, not that you should just get rid of the pain. And so one of the things that we show with golfers that we work with is the lateral mobilization, because what this is doing is actually addressing the root problem with many people with their hip, which is very stiff, and is opening the hip in its ideal open pack position, which I'll explain in a moment. But spread those legs out, and what we're going to do is, as we're in that position, we're gonna put our hand right on the crease where that hip is. So you wanna get the palm of your hand or the lateral side of your hand. You wanna get it at the crease where that hip is. So where your pelvis bone and the ball of your hip kind of feel that crease or that bend, you want your hand right there. And this lateral hip mobilization is gonna be able to open up that hip capsule really well. So we put a little bit of pressure there. And what we always instruct our golfers to do is to make sure that more pain doesn't mean more progress. You might feel on a scale of mild, moderate, and severe discomfort or pain, you might feel some mild discomfort, but anything more than mild means that it's not productive for you based on the level of injury that you're currently at. So one of the things that this is gonna do is open up that hip position, relieve some of that discomfort. As we're here, we hold it and do some little gentle glides, having just a little bit of pressure right in that position. Now, again, with any kind of exercise, biggest things you got to keep in mind is the fact that you can always change how far you go into that stretch or into that mobilization and how far you stay out of it. This makes the second mistake that people who are playing golf actively, they oftentimes fall into this trap of thinking that stretching can fix everything. Stretching doesn't fix everything. In fact, stretching can actually make the problem worse when it comes to some of the issues that golfers are dealing with, because what happens when you stretch, you can actually destabilize the forces or the muscles that actually are supposed to stabilize and protect your joint. So after we've been able to address some of the mobilization issues when it comes to opening up that joint, especially for folks who've developed the arthritis or other kind of issues with the hip, the bursitis, those kind of things, impingements, we're doing this mobilization to open it up, but then we also want to encourage some mobility plus stability, which is going to be a major factor. And so we're not just trying to relieve the pain, we actually want to address the root problem. And so one of the things, this is the third mistake that people make when they're addressing their hip pain. They just want to relieve the pain, and so they rely on pain medications. And that's one of the challenges that happens when people are trying to improve their performance and play longer and be stronger, but they're only using pain meds to relieve the pain. And the problem is, pain meds only relieve your pain. They don't address the root problem, like we're showing you with some of these exercises. When you're doing an exercise like the windshield wiper, what you're doing is you're going to be in this position. Now, some people, they can't even tolerate being in this position. That's how bad their hip is. And so what you have to start off is going to the basic position where you sit on your bottom, feet are on the ground. And what you do is you want to drop those legs to the side just to warm that hip up in terms of mobility. But we're also encouraging control as we have to stop the knees from going further. And for people who have different levels of pain and discomfort, you're going to go to the point of right before you feel pain or discomfort, right? If you're feeling anything more than mild discomfort or pain, that's not going to be productive, because what it's going to do is inflame the hip more and keep you out of commission. So you want to be able to challenge how far you can move before you feel pain. So maybe at first I can only move this far, right, before I get to the pain. But then what happens is, as I challenge that mobility and stability, I'm able to increase how far I can go down. Now, that's the simplest, most basic way to do the windshield wiper. And we're not just addressing mobility here, we're addressing control at the same time, and we're helping to improve the range of motion and the coordination of our body and our lower extremity as we move. But if we want to get to the most advanced or one of the more advanced places of the windshield wiper, you get to the point where you can start off in this position and you can rotate those legs all the way over, right? And switch all the way over. So one of the problems for people, and again, mistake number 3 is people only rely on pain medications. That's a challenge because pain medications can address some of the root problems like control of the hip, which is when you might start to experience pain because there's a lack of control and stability while you're playing golf, especially as you're trying to generate more power to hit a longer distance. And so for people who are just relying on the pain meds, it's like this. Imagine you have a smoke detector and your smoke detector is going off. You take the batteries out of the smoke detector and now the smoke detector is not going off anymore. Well, guess what? You stopped the smoke detector from going off, but you didn't necessarily solve the reason for why the smoke detector was going off. That's what happens when people rely on pain medications. All they're doing is stopping their body's ability to sense what's causing pain or discomfort, but they're not getting rid of the reason that actually caused the pain or the discomfort in the first place. So we got to make sure that we address this from a holistic perspective, mobility, getting the control, and addressing the root issue by diagnosing what exactly is going wrong with your hip specifically. So those are a couple of the exercises that are really critical that help and make a very big difference. One of the other basic things that we can really do to address some of the root problems that are going to affect the hip and cause that pain is we're going to do what's called a seated trunk rotation with a hip opener. So I know that sounds like a mouthful, but it's very simple. And most of the time, the mistake that people make when they're trying to do everything to fix their hip, whether it's pain meds, whether it's stretching, is they're missing out on actually targeting the entirety of the hip with all the structures that the hip is comprised of. So stretching is mainly just going to address the actual muscles itself. Pain meds are going to just relieve the nervous system connection that's letting you know and informing you of the pain. And again, pain is informative. It's not necessarily negative. And again, no one wants pain, but when pain is there, it should actually inform us of what we need to do and what we should do. So with this exercise, we're going to put our hand right here, inner thigh. We're going to take one hand behind our head, opposite hand, and we're going to rotate our trunk. What this is going to do, we're applying some pressure with this arm here. We're going to feel that hip open up a lot wider than what it might typically do. So we're not only addressing the muscle, but also the joint. So we can do a couple of repetitions there. Hold each one for about 3 to 5 seconds, and you can progress to longer. So I would typically have our golfers doing like 3 to 5 second holds, 2 sets of 5 initially. As they feel improvement and feel relief, what they're gonna do from there is maybe go to longer holds, like 10-second holds, doing 3 to 5 repetitions, things like that. So those are the exercises. Again, same thing on the other side. Take that hand while you're sitting and you can rotate right there, just like that. Now, making this a little bit more advanced, we go into a squatted position where we actually squat down and we rotate, right? So this is really great for that stability and control of the joint and being able to maintain the freedom of movement and how smooth the joint moves, because now our joint is actually having to stabilize because we're actually holding this position versus being in a seated position where our muscles can be more relaxed and turned off. So those are some of the things that make a big difference. And I want to show the last two mistakes that golfers make is number 4 is they actually never get on a rehab regimen. Rehab regimen simply means that they get on a program that addresses all the components that are necessary for playing golf, which means improving their power, their coordination, their mobility, their strength, their durability, so that they can play the full 18 holes without feeling exhausted or losing energy or their muscles giving out or feeling weak and things like that. All right, so I'm gonna show this last exercise, which is a plank with a hip abduction. And this goes into the last mistake that golfers make, which causes them to have hip pain and limits their swinging capability and their power and their success on the field, which is that they blame aging on everything. They think aging is a problem or the reason why they actually can't perform better. Aging is actually a reason why you should, as you get older, be able to perform better as you're playing golf. And here's the reason why. When you've gotten older, you've had more time to be able to figure out how your body actually works and what your body actually needs to continue to work optimally. So most people, when they're ignorant of the exercises that they need to do to address their pain and amplify their performance, what happens is they struggle and they feel like aging is the reason that set them back. But aging is not the reason. Aging is not the real problem. If you learn how to take care of your body and to make it work better for you, then what happens is you're going to be able to play longer, play stronger, and feel much younger. And so that's one of the things we help our golfers to do, is to actually feel younger, to shave those decades off and to feel stronger in their body so that they can enjoy playing golf longer. This is one of the exercises that we do that we find most people, they really struggle with, because they never have really addressed their entire body. They just want to be able to improve, the areas where they've been feeling little aches and pains and be able to swing the golf club and be able to walk longer, but they don't target their entire body to give themselves more energy and strength and stability, because golf is literally a full body exercise, full body sport. So what we do is we get them into this plank position. A couple different ways we do this. You're going to be in this plank position. Easiest way to start off with this exercise is being in this like push-up position and moving that leg out to the side, right? Now this is getting into that dynamic stability of the hip, because the hip that's on the ground, that's not moving, is being challenged in its stability, right? It's being fastened into that joint, into that socket. The hip that's moving is getting mobility and strength. Now, we're also working core here, which is really great, plus our shoulder. So it's literally a full body exercise that is helping to prepare for the things that are gonna happen when we're playing golf, right? But the other thing that we can do as we're doing this, easiest way to start off is moving side by side and touching the ground. Make it harder by moving that leg one way without touching the ground. So as you do this exercise, what you're going to find is it's literally going to help from a shoulder to wrist perspective, from a core to lower extremity, lower limb perspective. It's going to really build that strength and help to stabilize that hip that's felt kind of painful, achy, or sore, things like that. And so these are some of the exercises that really make a difference, especially no matter what age you're at. And age doesn't have to be an excuse for why you can't continue to play golf at a high level, improve your swing, and not have any hip pain. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you found it beneficial. Like and subscribe to our page to get more helpful content just like this. And I can't wait to see you in the next video.